Hi there, I want this to be like an older school Bonzoleum video. I don't want to start referring to myself as Bonzoleum. If it ever sounds, like if you hear an interview or me ever talking to anybody, let's say you see me and I'm watching a show and you're like, I know that guy, and I'm sitting there talking to be like, well, that's not what Bonzoleum would do. Make sure you point that out to me at that moment. Don't hurt me. But be like, excuse me, come on. But here's the deal. So, what Bonzoleum feels like, what I'm doing today is I'm comparing my two favorite 20-inch crash cymbals in the whole world. The first is a Paiste reissue Giant Beat. You know what's so funny about this? There's not a, oh, I know why there's not a, oh, never mind. There's no serial number on this, though. Anyway, God, how like 404, 505, 1981-ish to 1983-ish can you get? And then this cymbal, I'll hit them in a minute. I know this is kind of like mycymbal.com, but I have to do this introduction. Is, and I took the logos off because I was going to use it at a Kashmir Led Zeppelin tribute gig, is a Zildjian, an S series, or from the S family. I got to tell you, I said this is my favorite crash cymbal in the world, which I said was this. Really, they're both my favorite. But I mean, it was the wonder of hearing how beautiful this cymbal sounds. I mean, it still says Zildjian a little bit. You can see that. Anyway, so I want to point a couple things out about these. I mean, just some interesting observations I made. But hang on. All right, I'll play them. Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three. Listen to that sustain. So I'm going to make a bold statement. I know this is like Samuel L. Jackson, like, that's a bold statement. But what I really think sitting here, do you know how for years I and other Paiste addicts have talked about the 502 pluses, and even before that, the 404s being like the best you can kind of get your hands on to simulate an original Giant Beat? What I noticed between these two cymbals, a Paiste reissue Giant Beat and a Ziljian S series from the last year, is that, let me start by this. The reissue Giant Beats are a little different than the originals. I have pictures, if I can find them on my computer. Maybe they're going to change it or they have changed it. I mean, I don't know. I don't mean for that to sound egotistical, but I don't want to get caught with my pants down at a comparison and have somebody say, they're the same size. At least the original reissue Giant Beats are like 2002 blanks. I mean, not literally. I don't want someone at Paiste to say, they're not, but I mean, like the shape and possibly even the hammering, but they're just lathed like original Giant Beats or like New Dimension sound creation, and all the Formula 602 sound edge hi-hats will have a different lathing, top and bottom cymbal and both sides. It'll be a real fine, like Sabian AAX lathing, okay, or what you see on the old Armands that came out like 12 years ago. Real fine, cool lathing, and that's what you see here. They have it on this, and they also kind of gave it its greenish. Some were greenish, but really a lot of them are brownish. It was weird. They were almost kind of like two-toned original Giant Beats. But anyway, this seems to sort of have both. It's a little green, a little brown. Actually, it's pretty damn close. If you especially see look at the Nick Mason stuff in Live at Pompeii. When they're sitting out there, and they're literally out in one of those amphitheaters. God, all that equipment was probably destroyed by think of all the dust and shit that were in like those U-47s they were using. Anyway, but listen to this. I gotta get that swear word out. All right, so here we go. Here are the similarities. The thing is this Ziljian S seems to have a characteristic that's missing in the reissue Giant Beat that is in the original Giant Beats. To me, and right now this is on my memory of 20s I used to have. I don't have any original 20s anymore. I don't. I should, but I don't. But anyway, so listen again. The reissue Giant Beat. And then the Ziljian S series, you know, from the last year or whatever. So what I was gonna think is like, well, when next time I play with the Zeppelin guys, if I do, I will use these because they kind of sound like original Giant Beats to me. So even though they're a different alloy, remember the Ziljian S is B12, which is just a couple notches from B15, which is Paiste's proprietary, which Paiste first issued in '89. I mean, a jillion years ago. You know, Zildjian just kind of come around recently with the ZHT to sort of, you know, compete. I mean, they realize Paiste is like Mr. B8, Mr. B15, so they do this. Their ZHTs were good cymbals, but they were way too heavy. But these, and again, they're more shaped like an original Giant Beat. At least the bell has more of the original Giant Beat. Well, maybe not in the 20. Yeah, I guess in the 20. It just got the 2002 bell is smaller and a little more almost like the bell area at the top. There's not as much as you'd see on original Giant Beats, sort of like a flattening off, and 602s, except that extra flattening off wouldn't come from the actual angle or the trajectory of the whole bell would be widened then. So the bells were bigger in a footprint this way a little bit. Anyway, so look at, like I've said a jillion times, Paiste 2000, and their sound reflections of Paiste 3000, and also those old Paiste 500 and old Paiste 900 marching cymbals. They have like the original Giant Beat shape, but they're heavier generally. If you can find a sound formula, sound reflections, 18. I mean, that'd be like should be really, really close to a original Giant Beat because the lathing is the same and the cymbal is really the same. Although that reflector finish they put on there, it differed the sound of the cymbal. Anyway, but something else interesting about this 20S is that, I mean, it's machine hammered. I got to look at another S and see. Now check this out. This might be possible. If this hammering pattern's the exact same on another 20 I get, this might be a pressed cymbal. Like the hammer, like it might just go like that and leave in hammering marks as well as lathing marks. Because the lathing marks, even though the pattern isn't the same of the 502 plus or 302 plus and 802 plus, the 802 plus actually had a different design than the 502 plus, like what was stamped or whatever, some etched into the cymbal. But this almost seems to be the Paiste plusy process, but looks different. Like it's not nearly as prominent, like it's not nearly as like sharp, it's more slight and sort of smoother this way. But it really does seem plusy in this. I wonder if, I mean, I don't know. We can ask Zildjian, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's actually lathed or all pressed into the cymbal. I think it might be more possible that they do hammer the cymbal, but then maybe stamp in that finish on the top. But nonetheless, here's a theory I have. It's a real theory. Is that just because, oh, you know, I got to take these. I know I talk loud when these are on. Just because cymbals forever have been spun this way, it makes it easier like to lathe, and it's just kind of the way everybody's used to just looking at it. But I think in Paiste experimented with that with the 3000s, especially with like when the ribbon lathing came along. That sort of you see how like concentric is almost like an even design, right? But I think if you mix it up to kind of make it a little more chaotic, seriously, like not necessarily just curved lines this way, but even if after they, like I'm surprised a cymbal company, apart from a couple cymbals, you see like the lion or whatever, it's not regularly lathed, and then like kind of randomy, I mean somewhat evenly spaced around the cymbal, but sort of countercuts to the lathing might make, you know, more, it would be more disharmonics or disharmonics? Harmonics might be messed up, but maybe in Crashville and Volumeville, especially if the music's on, it actually sounds good. Like maybe the more sort of, I guess it does inhibit the vibration in a certain way. But it does, I mean, the sound waves come off the cymbal differently. And then maybe in a more, like, a pattern like this instead of like this, right? But a little more like, does that make a bit, anyway, so how great the cymbals are. Oh, you know what I'll do? I'll do a little, two things. I'll do a little, when the levee breaks, it won't really sound like it because it doesn't down here. Okay, all right, so God, do you think he goes da 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 or da 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 da? It's hard for me to remember. Let's go like this. See, I'm getting a little dirty there. You know why? Because my pedal, that's a sure sign that my pedal is slightly too loose. That means I got to tighten. Gosh darn it. Well, I'm going to do it now because I will lose my temper. But here, let me put on my hearing protection. Remember, there's no click or anything ever coming out of these. It's just hearing protection. These are my Extreme Isolation EX29s. I wish they worked a little better. They're not bad. So, hang on. You know what I notice? I have a little bit of like a cold today. I mean, maybe it's allergies again. I don't know. But I notice it's got to be a little bit of a cold. Because I notice, even though sometimes I'm still spazzy when I talk about stuff I'm interested in, like any sort of ADD person, my general line of thinking slows down, though. Which is kind of nice. Because I don't, then I think I might make slightly better videos because I might be a little more, I might not blaze over topics so fast. All right. So, well, anyway, so you got to fight the urge to do two of those. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the... Anyway, that's the thing. So I almost considered these to be like Giant Beat reissues to be like the best sounding B8 alloy, cymbals that you can use in the studio and live, especially with miking. But these S's almost seem to be like, they'd work good in the studio too. They would. I mean, you never know how they'd sound in the content. I mean, they'd obviously sound great. I mean, they might sound better than that. I don't know. I mean, there's a slight hardness to the sound, a teeny bit when you get close to it. But really, that's sort of, again, like with distance, with different alloys really than B20, like when there's more copper content, the carryability goes farther and generally sounds better than B20 in my mind. All right, the bells. Yeah, more giant. Well, the fact of the matter is probably why they sound more like Giant Beats. I mean, God knows the alloy's close. I mean, closer than, B15. But look at how big that bell is. Even though that's very Zildjian-y. Do you see how there from this angle where it's convex, it's really Zildjian-y, like that bigger sort of. But when you flip it this way, it's not your typical Zildjian bell. It is more, it's almost like a slight caricature of the original Giant Beat bell. Like if you took the Zildjian sort of bigger cut bell that generally I don't usually like, well in 20s, I mean, depending on how you do it. But you just take that same volume of mass and shape it like kind of like 80% of a Giant Beat. Wow. Anyway, so more cymbals on the way. No, there was one other thing I was going to say. So this is what I'm going to start doing too. Hang on. Somebody asked about this snare. I'll start showing stuff. Why not? You know what I mean? I'm selling it anyway. Everything. Everything must go. It looks like it's about maybe 5 or 6 mil or whatever. And it is, if I remember, I got it. My wife got it for me for my birthday about 10 years ago on eBay. I forget the manufacturer. There's no name on it. But it was like maybe, I don't know, $300. And it is a, not a stave. You know those glued together rectangles that were popular for a while? It's that. Segmented. I can't remember if it's rosewood or if it's like a... Well, no, that's not rosewood. Let me put it on. That better, please don't fall off. Okay, here we go. This is, let me see how much time I have. I gotta start doing this because then Alright, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. 3 minutes and counting. So what I'm gonna do, I've never tuned this up, I don't think. Oh no, I have. Yeah, hang on, I can probably tune up a little more Bonamy in a minute. But I only have 3, well now probably 2 minutes and 37 seconds. Here. You know what I mean? Like it's a little more. But all right, what's a little more? Think no quarter. Keep messing that fill up. Well, live he's like. An extra floor time, but the studio it's a little different. I don't know. I'll refresh later. So, oh, hang on. Maybe I have 30 seconds left. So here's the end of Immigrant Song, except these are 20s. Ah, shit. See, I don't have an 18. All right, we gotta do 20s. Oh, we gotta do da 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 da. Shit. Hang on. I think there's a couple times he does it off the bass drum. It's regular speed. Might help if I slow it down, because the song is slower. And then this one. My foot's dying. Rat bastardom. Hang on.